everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this trading room. Other trading rooms we might have, our webinars or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we'll go ahead and get started. By the way, if you've been looking at oil's like, in my personal opinion, this is more like a, just a channel and pretty much like a big old down move, good retrace and then rolling over. So if you happen to have bought this at this little box and then it didn't take out this high, that's still like a phantom. Okay, so you could be short on this. Now, if you're not in it just yet, what I'd wait for is that mid band to stair step down, because it is also a phantom, and it's a legit phantom first time after a trend change, except it didn't change the mid band itself. So our little trader won't fire that one. And of course, I think everybody can see you had a little trade here on gold, but you also had this really nice phantom down here, which I teach all the time. All right, so if you're not in anything, you're going to have to wait a few minutes, because say you had a big nice move at 7:30 my time on ES, you had this gold move, and you've had the oil move. Basically, this trade right now is right through there. Okay, let me make sure my question log's set up good. Well, you're right, Kenneth. It does actually. Yeah, you're right. It's just the color of the background. It doesn't have anything to do with the midband. You're right. Yeah. So it will definitely give a phantom trade here. Now, it doesn't mean you wouldn't, already be short on this, because this, even if a person drew like a trend line on this up through here, even, see, it still pretty much broke it. Could also box this in right here. Keep in mind I've got a trend line drawn along those lows, and it could easily bounce in this channel for a while. So just kind of draw trend lines and take some nice little trades. And if it breaks that trend line and then changes the mid band and rolls over, that would be a good trade. You can always box it like I teach too. You could have boxed it here. You could have boxed it here also. See it? Now keep in mind that's right off that trend line so far. Can also draw a trend line and take a break of it. This is the overall trend line on gold. This is a minor trend line on gold. I figure we're shooting for 79.12 anyway, wouldn't you? Let's see if we can blow through it. The overall low overnight is 78.78. Got an interim one at 79.02, and you got another one down here at 78.78. So even if you just took this box that I just said to box in, you got your little trade. You don't have to take the more risky one up here. You could take the break, or even this trend line like I called out. Either way, you'll be happy you took it. It's up 17 ticks from this box. See how it's stair-stepping mid-band now? We are looking for a first time in the mid-band after a trend change. Always be drawn in your charts though, because see when they bounce a little bit, you can usually look to the left to trade the right and you'll see like a swing. See that swing they kind of bounced off of right there? And then if they break it, they should test this one here, 79.04. And be careful at the open because they can be heading down and take it right back up too. So you'll be ready for anything. You can put your stop just right there at 32. I know that's up there a little bit, but giving it a little bit of wiggle room for that runner is not a bad idea. It was a nice phantom short, wasn't it, Radon? And be careful because it took out the little swing on lightning. Now you're looking for a first time in the mid-band after a trend change. Let's see if this will roll over. If it would roll over, it would be nice. It's like it stopped our runner. Let's see if it'll roll over. No roll yet. You can box this right here. Just checking is liable to break it, but we'll see. So far, it rolled out a bit. If we can get it right down to there, that's looking left to trade the right. See if we can get down to that 21. Okay, I called that little box, so we should be short. Just be careful with it. Now, if you think about this is kind of a line in the sand long short, isn't it? Because you've got a low, you got a high, you got a higher low so far. Until we take out these lows, this is a new identified swing as far as, you know, whether or not they could take this puppy back up. So let's get rid of the trend line. We don't need it. It took it out. Let's see if this thing will keep rolling over. Careful, you're getting higher low. We need a lower high if they're going to continue down. You don't really want to take out this line. And gold finally stopped you out even on the larger trend line if you use it, or you could use this swing right here, right there. That's your high, low, higher, high. If they're going to get a higher low and head up, they need a higher low here and start heading up. You don't want to really start checking that line. And like I say, be careful at the open on crude oil because they do like to do a little fakey dance too. So if you took this trade and you're back in the box, see how it rolled over right at my mid band, you could be out of this if it goes back in that box, or for sure if it goes above it like that. See if they'll take it on down again. Doesn't look like it. Come on, crude, take it on down. Nope. You stopped out. You're long above my line. Careful with it. It is a phantom, but we're long above that line. I called it. Bank some coin on it because it's trying to roll. That was a decent little scalp. Now keep in mind you could also be short on the phantom right now. But we're long above where I said, remember, that 39 where that little wick candle was? Now be careful, here's the open. We got a little scalp, we're short on our phantom. You even had a second chance on your phantom. And let's see if we can get down to those lows. Come on, crude, break on down. You did a beautiful phantom. See everyone how you can take though. I'm going to show this in tonight's webinar too. If you want to do this, what I'd recommend doing would be to have like a second account, like a sub account. Do the long above, okay? Like my line here, you know, where I said it would be a low, high, higher, low, higher, high, because those can be good trades. A good 10 ticks or better. But keep in mind that you can also take the phantom only if you want, but you could do two different charts if you want to. You know, like let's say for instance, two Apex accounts, give an example, or, you know, Lilu, or I won't even mention Ermax, but I did, didn't I? All right, we're still short. We're trying to get down to these lines. So oil has a different open than New York Stock Exchange. What's their open and closing time for those futures? Well, basically, we don't care about the closing. We care about the open because we only run this room for 2 hours. But your open on crude oil is 8 a.m. Central Time. Doesn't mean it's not been running already, you know, all night. It's just an open. All right, let's see if we can get down to those lows. And careful with it because your line in the sand long short on Lightning 3 is up here at 57. Your long short line in the sand on micro is about right through, well, matter of fact, where that wicked candle is still. So be careful just in case they decide to play with this thing. Should have a nice little scalp. You're riding a runner. Gold, the same thing, but in the reverse direction. Let's look at it. Now, gold's kind of on a tear to the upside, and that's like a bull pennant on here, but it doesn't mean they won't stay in this range for a while. You know, because here's your line in the sand long short right here on gold, in my opinion, right now. You could be short technically on a trend line break, though. Those work beautifully. But if it gets a higher low than this right here, now see how it double topped though? So we either need a higher low or they're going to check this line. But if you do get a higher low, like at a phantom, you can box it in. Let's see what oil's doing just real quick. Yeah, we're good on oil. Just keep on riding it. Keep on riding it. Let's see, there's the phantom trade right here setting up on gold. Is it going to actually be a phantom or is it going to break? Come on, crude. I see you, you little stinker. It's going to take me out of my runner. It's right at that swing I called out. Didn't get it. See? See if we can take it on down. Yeah, the line in the sand on gold too, if you think about it, when you think about micro moves, is you have a high here, a low here, and a higher high here. So when they break this area right here, they are taking it down. So you can short those. But keep in mind then you have to look to the left to trade the right also. You got a high here, a low here, same high pretty much. It looks like all they did is took it out by 3 ticks. So this is your line in the sand on what I call the more, the larger move. Because this could easily bounce here too. We'll see, but you could be short from under midband and this trend line. Remember, I used that trend line to stop us out. I said this one here, that'd get everything but your runner, but then this one here would get your runner too. There's a area that should bounce on ES, this little trend line. Come on, crew, take it on down, Mercy. You're just playing. Now, if oil takes it down hard, you could look to the left to trade the right and see this big move. See this huge move right here. Now, this had been heading up at the time, but then you had this huge drop off right here. So if we were to actually get that low, we would actually hit this right here. Measured move all the way down to this area here. Let's draw other lines because those lines could be important. Now, like I say, it doesn't mean it's going to get there because it's got to take out this swing first. For this to ever be starting to call an Elliott wave, like a 1, 2, 3, it has to break this line. And if it does, obviously that could be a very decent move, but I called the short up here if you wanted it. Just got to take coin. There's a little bounce area on. So I drew the line ahead of time. All it did is wicked it. Now be careful if you're in it. I would put my stop at the line on gold on this phantom trade. Come on, crude oil. There's one target coming up. All right, now let's see if we can get that next target. Pretty much got low all the way down at 77, 78 area. How many of you got that? That's all you got to do, is look at your overall. Your overall was really to the downside, big old thrust down. You got you a bear flag there. And we're shooting for this line right here and lower, obviously. And if you're not in just yet, look for a mid-band trade. The target on gold is right up here at this swing area right here. Drew the wrong one. We'll make it work. There we go. All right. You should have close to 50 ticks on that trade. Now, if they get down to that 77 and bounce, I'd get out of this thing in a heartbeat because that will be a big old bottom area that they're more than likely going to test. Now, ES trade, the call I just made worked. Bank some coin on it. See how drawing on your charts is critical? You could be using the wedge trader and have taken that trade. Surely you wouldn't have set it for short, right? You just set it for a long bounce off that touch plus. Oh, this is a beautiful trade on crude. Okay, watch it if it hits 77 and bounces. You're getting higher lows on gold. Let's see if we can just take that line I've got drawn. Come on, crude. You got an appointment with 77, 78. Let's go. Draw a trend line on ES if you want to protect your trade. There's your target on gold. See if we can take it out. Can always be banking. It was, wasn't it beautiful? Chuck H on yours, that one I called on ES right there, it perfectly hit our trend line. Careful with crude, not rolling over just yet. Come on, crude. There you go. We can get rid of this box. There you go. That's good. That's a good area to take some coin on crude oil when it touches that line, or even if it gets close to it. If it blows through it, this is an outlier predictor right here. There you go. You're blowing through it a little bit. Just be careful with it. Blew through it. You can always put your stop just above it, or bring your stop right in this area right here, or at the swing itself. And be careful if it just barely takes out these lows, because they will take it back up if they do that. Then it won't be an Elliott. It'll just be more of a, retracement, and they're liable to take it up, but we'll see. You could even tighten your stop on crude if you want. You don't have to go all the way up here to this line. You could wait for that to turn green, take it out, or you could even trust this swing if you got a big runner on. If you're really gutsy and you want to see if this thing will really go to town, put your stop at line 8. Keeping in mind that's 50 ticks back up. But if it was to run 200 ticks, you'd be a happy camper. All right, I'd put my stop personally right through there still. See there? Another outlier predictor down here. What a beautiful trade on crude. I don't know if we'll make 77.07 the way they're acting, but maybe we'll make 78.22. You can always put your stop right there with close of a bar, or right there where the swing is at 85 to 70. Beautiful. That's going to be a 100-tick run. Take that, doctor. Beautiful trade. Wow. We could just end the room and say day one of the new year. Perfect. Look at that ES still going. Draw your trend line. Careful of any pullbacks on old crude. Come on, Crudy, you can do it. You can do it. Y'all realize one of those 90% apex you could have just funded pretty easily on these calls so far this morning, or at least half. Needs to roll over. Little micro swing right there at 50, 60, 58 to 60 area right there at 65. All right, now this is a mid-band type trade setup. Just be very, very careful with it because, you know, this has run a long ways, but this is a mid-band trade. And it's pretty much first time after trend change with a stair-stepping mid-band. So we can take that pup down again. You got out of crude early, but you got the ES bounce rate on. Yeah, that's good enough. I mean, money's money. Money is money. Looking at crude oil right this very moment, so you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low. This is not what I consider the line in the sand because they could easily just take it barely. But see, you have a low, high, lower low. This is your line in the sand long short right there on crude oil at 84. Now, it doesn't mean that you couldn't take this break of this box too, but I'd be real careful with that one, especially the way they took this down. They're liable to fake. But they did go back in the box, so that trade did not work. You could stick with it though and see if it'll do it again. Look at Goldie go. Box it in still. You gonna take it on back down crude oil, or are you gonna go up and do a phantom, or even change trends? We'll find out. Keep boxing. See what I was talking about boxing? Just move your box a little bit like that. Could be short on it. Just be careful. If this fakes us the second time, we're done with crude oil. There we go. Come on, crude. Everybody get that trade I just said box in? You got yourself a scalp. Gold's still in play. It does go through the third, Chuck. It's not over tonight. I mean, it's over tonight at midnight. Yeah, it's a good deal, especially if you think about 90% off, because I can get you to that funded part in that before it gets rebuilt at that 50% off. You know, because look at this trade today. You know, two contracts should be up mightily. Now, what you don't want now see how they've got a low, high, higher, low, higher, high. This is now your line in the sand long short. See it? Right there at about 77, 78. You could even put it at, you know, 70, pardon me, 73, 74 area. But where you are short, I called it. See if we can take that pup on down. Now, be careful if they double bottom or they get a higher low. You want to take this out right there for it to be a lower high. See if we can take it down. Next stop on the bus, we've got a line drawn for some reason at 22. Let's see if that becomes a reality. That'd be 20 more ticks. Careful though, it's double bottoming. You need to take it on down, crude. You could draw a trend line on it. Just in case. I'm not saying go long here, but it could take you out. Could also put your stop at the line I've got drawn too. They definitely double bottomed. You need to truck on down there, crude. Come on. Truck on down. Now, ES did stop you out if you use my trend line. And this is 8 minutes before the open right here. So be more careful. The more mid bands they give you, the more likely they're going to take your money. So you could be looking for another trend line bounce. You could box in the mid band. It is a stair stepping. See it? I got a high, low, higher, high. This is a legitimate mid band trade, but you got to keep in mind that it's already had 1, 2. This is the third one. So you could box this. Crude oil got a low, a high, a higher low, barely. Let's see if it can roll over at all. It did stop you if you used our little swings. If you're using a runner, you know, from way back where I called it, you could use this line. Got a lower high so far. You could box this again on crude oil. Bias is still to the downside. All right, you got your little trade on that one I just called on crude oil. Let's see if we can take that low out. Now, if ES doesn't go ahead and stay out of this box right here, you could always cut it at no loss and go for lower. because a lot of times they're going to at least touch that mid band. Your safest trade is if they go at or below that mid band and then bounce. I'd rather have it even at that trend line at the open, which would be really nice. Beautiful trade on crude again. Everyone see it? That's a yonk yonk. Okay, you went back in your box, so you scratched on ES if you wanted to. Doesn't cost you anything though. You can also use the bottom of the box, but they'll take it a lot of times. So sometimes it's best just to go ahead and protect your coin. Come on, crude. I called you up there. Don't go back. Yeah, I like that trend line the best. Now keep in mind, with it being so close to the open, your line in the sand long short on ES, you can pretty much tell, see your high, your low, your higher high. That's your line in the sand long short right there. And this is a phantom trade setting up, but you can't take out this 81. And if we don't get a higher low, they're not going to take this top out. So we need a higher low here, or at least don't go any lower than that 38, 80, 75. But you can box this. Gold's still in play. Keep in mind, you can always take coin, early. You don't have to ride this gold all the way up here, because you can see it's pulling back and stepping up, and pulling back, stepping up. That's what they do. Protect some coin at that top on gold, just in case it doesn't blow through it. Look to the left to trade the right and see where it's going. It's got to take out this top though. So far it is just a little bit, or it's right at it, so be careful with it. It's a green midband again. That's your target if they can get there. See how you're getting a 38, 39. They'll probably bounce off of 40 down here, because that's what they do a lot of times, is they're going to play in this range for a while. We'll see if they can take this area out. One tick doesn't make a trend line, obviously, but it is a higher low though on crude. It's phantom so far on old Essie. Hit my line exactly. Careful with the open on ES, because they're liable to just take it down uh, deep for like a good retracement and then bounce in your face too. Let's see what the overall is on ES. Well, it's overall heading up, but this could easily, head down and check these lows too. And you could always look at a fib, because sometimes they'll do a fib here and then they'll go one more deep. So see, this fib was not quite 61, was it? Close to it, but not quite. I think that's about as deep as they'll go myself, but we'll see. Because that's a good thrust retrace. A lot of times they'll bounce right off these close to 68s like that. It is still a phantom. You're still in it. Just be careful at the open. See what kind of fib this was. Almost a 61 on that move. I see they are trying to break it. I did say you could short that if you wanted to. It did kiss it and roll. I'm not personally in it, but you could be. See what they do at the open. If you're just waiting, you can always wait for a kiss and a roll too. Crude oil came so close to my line. Everybody faded it. That's too quick to call on that mid band on crude oil. That even kissed my line. So you had another opportunity to get an ES. Perfect opportunity. Kiss and roll. Come on, crude. Take out 22, buddy. There you go. There you go. All right, let's see if we can get that next target. That bounced pretty quick though, didn't it? See if we can get that 15. If you're not in ES just yet, you're looking at very possibly a mid-band trade rollover. Line of sand long shorts, 38.80.50. Should box this in. See how YM's trying to break up, but they're trying to roll. It's got to stay under this. Doesn't look like it's going to with YM breaking up. Oh, look at gold, almost to my line. Come on, gold. There was your box on ES. Just be careful with it. Just barely broke that long short line. Phantom, almost a phantom. It didn't quite touch line 6. They don't always. So close on gold. Crude oil hit our target. Careful with crude. It's a mid-band trade if you want to take a shot at it. You are long, by the way, on ES above the line the second time. We teach that. Not in ES, but you could be. And if you're not, just wait for it to pull back. Almost got our target on gold. See it right here? Right at my line. Mid-band trade setting up on oil. Just be careful with it. Said that was our long short line on crude oil. You are long on crude. Just be careful with it. It hit outlier predictors and it took off like a little bird. Sweet crude. Both directions, you little turkey. Isn't that like crude though? Crude does this all the time. Gives you a monster short and then they take it back. Let's see what our fib's going to be though. We got to look at that because this big old move down, they're going to be doing a Fibonacci on that more than likely. Let's go from here. Yeah, see, that's 38% right there on the money. So be careful with this long. It needs to keep bouncing, and I'll draw the line at the 50, 61. You could box this in. This is like a mid-band trade. It's not quite one just yet. There it is right there. If that bounces, that could be a mid-band trade, but it could also be just simply a 38% retracement to the downside. And that's what it looks like to me. Anyway, we got a beautiful trade on crude oil to the long side, called it right at the long short long short line in the sand, but then it stopped you out at my line. Now, I didn't short it, but I should have. Shoulda, coulda. That's right, though. Let's see if they'll take this puppy on down again. Need a mid-band to change for us, though. Trying to see where I could short this little pup. I was wanting to do it up here at mid-band, but I don't think it's going to go back there. And it is still a yellow mid-band, so I'm just not going to call it just yet. We did get some great trades, though, everyone, so you should be nicely green. Nicely green. Just while I was diagnosing that, it was taking us out at my line there. But you got to kind of draw your fibs on your charts because, see, even though that jumped up there to a 38% fib, it rolled over pretty quick. So we are, technically, I think we're still looking for shorts, but look at that phantom. It's still working so far. I'm going to stand down until it changes away from that red background and yellow mid-band. So far, it's nothing but a phantom. Technically, box it right there if you want to. Gold hit our target and took it out. Everybody liked that gold trade. That was a monster, wasn't it? Hit our target right on the money and still hesitating around it right now, so be careful with it. You're long again on ES off my line. Didn't call it, but I've got my line drawn, so you could definitely have it. This will kind of tell you what they're going to do right here at this mid-band. You going to take it up, crude, or are you going to take it roll over? So far that Phantom's working, but I didn't personally take it. I didn't trust it. Yeah, Phantom worked on crude oil, but I sure didn't take it. I'll wait for it to get a stair-stepping mid-band or to change trends, one or the other, which it technically has above that 37, but I didn't take it. I don't trust unbalanced mid-bands and backgrounds. Now, I will take it if it pulls back. Something to be said for that old Phantom, isn't there? See if we can get a pullback. Stop on gold, by the way, if you're just riding this thing. Now, this is what I'm going to teach tonight in the webinar too, is this beautiful stair stepping and everything, because you can clearly see this thing is just beautifully stair stepping up. You had your original thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace. Every one of these is higher lows. See? So you can just stay with that trade just as long as you can. I'll draw that on one of these black charts so you can see it a little bit easier, go into a little bit of teaching mode. I am up green as I can be. I am tickle pink. Gold. All right, let's look at this real quick. Get rid of the predictors. See, this was this last little pullback right here. See how beautifully each time this thrusts and retraces and thrusts again, you can put your stop obviously under these swings as it thrusts, okay? Then you have another high here. Let's just do a different colored line right here. By the way, you're getting a mid-band trade on crude that I called out. And the little trader took it. All right, let's see here. Let's do a little different color line on this one. All right. So see, here's your thrust, your retrace, your higher low. See, so each time this gets higher lows like this, takes out the swing here, gets a higher high, that's your swing until they obviously take this up again, thrust, retrace. Well, when they take out a top again, like across here, see where they take that out? This becomes your new higher low. And they take this top out here, see, and this becomes your new low right here. But then they take this top out, see it right here, and these become your new lows. See, all the way along in here. Right now, you're just at close to being taken out on it. First time. See how that works? Mike, it did meet it. I didn't trust it personally, and I said I didn't. But the reason I didn't is because, once I get a really big move like was called earlier, I'm fairly cautious after that. But the reason this was still a phantom is this right here. Now, the phantom trader will not fire this trade though. I've taught this in lots of webinars. See how your phantom trader, these bars are all down, and that bar went up right there, but it was red background, so it will not fire that. But I mentioned that you can box this in. It is actually a phantom trade, okay? When it's got a yellow midband, that is a first time into phantom after a trend change. It's just deeper. But I didn't trust it personally, and by the time I saw it actually starting to head up, I thought, nah, I just missed it. No big deal. But see how it played around for a few minutes first too. You get to where you hate that because, you know, you get in like right across there and see they came right back in the box. If you put your stop right here, you stayed in. Now, I have said this before, though. If they get enough of a thrust to change this mid-band and everything, this first time into phantom, as a rule, that line 0 will hold. That's why we put the stop at line 0 on that phantom trade, because it actually does hold. But I did call this trade, and we got a nice little quick 10 ticks. There's another phantom, by the way. That's a legitimate phantom with even the right color background and everything on it that would fire on that bar. Didn't get that one, but that little trade panned out, stopped out at break even on the runner though. But you could be in this again at Phantom. See, this is key to it right here, is when they get this thrust like this and they take out even these lightning threes over here to the left, this is usually when you get your trend change. Let me show you here on the lightning threes. We'll draw it from here. See, basically when you have a high, low, lower, high, higher, low, lower, high, you know, they're not taking this area out down here, right? But now they do, and then you've got your line in the sand. Right there is your line in the sand long short. And see, then your line in the sand long short's here. See it? Your low, your high, your lower low. And then off they go. I called that trade long. You know, some people got a beautiful trade on that one. This little trade here, though, did not pan out, except if you boxed it in and you tried to go for that yellow phantom. It's like I say, it's not my favorite trade simply because I don't like a red background with a yellow midband. If it's your first trade out of the gate, though, I'll take that in a heartbeat. But see, we got this trade way up here, though. You know, why take, you know, for instance, this trade was called right here on a phantom. All right. And we got that monster drop. And then we got this drop. Remember, we even boxed these in. Got this drop. Called the areas out, 15, 22, remember? Hit them. And then when it thrusted up and takes out this lightning 3, this is really telling you that they're trying to change trends. Even if you looked at your lightning 3s, your trend change is right through there. And see, they barely took it out. That's when they're usually telling you that they're changing trends. But that was a good trade. I missed it. It's no big deal. If I miss a trade, I don't lose money on it. If I take a trade and call it wrong, I lose money. That trade there, I would have called in a heartbeat if we weren't diagnosing the rest of it. But I did call the mid-band. It worked. If you happen to do the mid-band trade the way the new mid-band phantom is going to be set up, it's going to be at line 0. So you could have stayed in this trade through this pullback if you wanted to. And I don't recommend it because, you know, basically your Fibonacci was right. That looks like 50. Yeah, it's 50. See that big thrust and pullback 50%. So this one was a 23.6, which I don't like to begin with, but I did call it because it was a stair-stepping mid-band and it did do 10 ticks. But this little trade's better. That's 50% pullback. Now keep in mind that they could still head this down again too. This is your line in the sand long short. And on your micro trend, thrust, retrace, this is your line in the sand right through there if they take that out. But this is your lightning 3 line in the sand long short. Okay. So between gold and crude, we killed it. I mean, we literally killed it. Look at how this is doing ABC type trade. You got a little swing there. They checked it. They barely check it. See there? And then they pop again. This is still an uptrend, but doesn't mean that you couldn't have taken this out. See where you had a high, low, higher high, higher low, higher high. The moment they take this out, they're no longer doing this stair stepping like I was showing over here on this side. See, let me just show you on the little black chart. It's a little easier to see. See how every time you took out a high and you pull back, you take out another high, you pull back, take out another high, you pull back, take out another high, you pull back, you take out another high. So where is your line in the sand to get out of this trade? Well, if you get a high, you take this swing out right here, or for sure this one. See, this is your identified swing. See how you have a high, low, barely higher high, higher low, higher high. That's where I pretty much put my stop on a trade like that. And it held, and it's still holding, see there? And you're still okay. But you could be out up here because this was a high, low, higher high, and it did take it out. So you can get out of that trade right there. But keep in mind that you won't get some of these really good moves like this if you do it quite that tight. So you could still be in this trade if you wanted to be right through there. See, I just wicked it. Pretty good stair stepper, actually. That's a classic example of what I'm going to teach tonight. So it came perfectly down to mid-band again. Could you be long on crude oil? I think so. I didn't get it because I was yakking, but you could have. And some of our people grabbed a quick phantom trade on that SE2. Pretty awesome day though, isn't it, everyone? Mercy be. I got my day on that crude oil alone, and that gold just sprinkled the icing on the sprinkles on the icing on your cake. It was awesome. You could be flat on gold now if you wanted to be, if you use this stop. If you use this one, you're still in it because you have to give it a little wiggle room on the little bit more of a thrust and pull back. If you're not in crude oil just yet, just go in at mid-band. Look at that phantom trade. I mean, even as I was calling this, it was rolling over at this mid-band. So you could definitely be, even if you missed this, you could have gotten this. See, I mean, that's a perfect example of, well, that's the way Charles liked to used to trade. If he didn't catch a mid-band, he'd box that mid-band right there. Or if he didn't catch the phantom, that is. Now see why I usually get out of a trade though? Because look at gold now. Your first hint at getting out was right there. And now they're going to start testing this. And you can see that they already are on the actual chart. Let me see if I can draw lightning one. Maybe it'll draw. No, lightning one's the same. There's lightning one right there. So you have a low right there. And if they take that out, you can always get out of the trade. You don't have to hold after you get this monster of a move. You know, we got that beautiful thrust retrace. Perfect classic phantom trade area right through there. See there? And that trade was called. This trade wasn't because the room wasn't open. This trade was called. And see how they're playing around a little bit? They're testing these swings to see if they want to take it up again. So then you've got to start looking if they're going to test those swings. then check your fibs and see where they're really heading. I would personally think they're going to try to check that 38%, but they are bouncing off of a phantom, and they did hold pretty much the swing area right there. They just barely wicked it. Up to the individual how long you want to hold this. Just don't hold it with a bunch of contracts. You don't feel that much heat holding this to this swing here with one contract, but if you did it with like 5, to give an example, you'd be feeling, $1,500 worth of heat. You don't want to do that. Look at that crude oil go, by the way. Monster. There's see how this is the opposite right here of this right here? Everybody sees that, right? See how you've got a down phantom right here, and see they thrust retrace, so you box it. This one did the opposite. It thrusted retrace, and you do the boxing in. And you can get that trade right there. I promise you, even if you miss this one, just look for this one here, because it's the same as this one here, except the opposite of it. And S even had a mid-band trade just a minute ago. See if I'm missing any questions. Oh, you're welcome. Did I go over that good enough, Mike, on why that phantom was good for crude oil even? Here's a mid-band trade setting up on crude oil. Now be careful, because looking left to trade to right, they could easily come down to this swing right here. And it could be a falling knife too. But you're getting a thrust. You haven't gotten a retrace yet. So, you could look for a phantom. You could box this in. See, pretty much right across there. And if they go out of that box, you can take it. You can draw a trend line. You can wait for the thrust to pull back and draw a trend line. And see how gold didn't quite get to a phantom. But see how they try to take you out before they run them. Because if you think about this, let's look at this a little bit different way. Let's go with the lightning, and I'm going to draw it by hand instead, so you can kind of see it a little bit better. Let's just draw it from here. That's all that's important. Well, let's draw it from here. That's fairly good. There's a thrust, okay, like a little ABC type move. There's a retrace. This is your thrust right here. Okay. Now, as far as if you want to stay with the trade for the gusto, you can actually trust the thrust, retrace, thrust. This is your line in the sand long short on a bigger move. Okay. And as long as it stays above this, you could easily get, this is nothing but noise over here. You could easily get a higher low and head up again. See? But if you look at the micro trend, then obviously you'd be out of this trade earlier. This will probably even draw a lightning 3 before it. Well, it might not, because it didn't, did it? But that to me is a lightning 3, or at least a good swing. Oil did break down, by the way. I saw it. It did fake you on a box break, but if you do it like I teach, you could actually have made up for that quick 3 or 4 tick loss to get that nice trade out of the box. Now be careful with shorts, because all they did is check this little swing right here that I drew the line on ahead of time. So, if they start changing backgrounds and everything on you, start being a little bit more careful. But this is a stair-stepping mid-band, first time in after trend change. that you're looking for another short at that box. And you could even box it here as far as that goes. See how SE just gave trade after trade after trade ever since the market opened. Remember, you got to watch these things because, here was your line in the sand long short, called it out live, and you had that nice mid band. You had this trade here, monster trade. But if you look to the left to trade the right, when did this start really breaking down? You had a high here, a low here, a lower high. Once you start taking this area out right here with a close bar, they're pretty much getting a high, low, lower high, and lower low. You can short that there on that closed bar if you want to, but that's a risky trade to me simply because this could just be a mid-band and bounce. But I don't mind this trade at all right here because if it's down at that phantom, breaks, kisses, and rolls, you can take that trade in a heartbeat. I don't like this one up here by any means. That'll usually just stop me out of my long. But you did get several opportunities. Big old mid-band trade, phantom trade, mid-band trade, as far as boxing it in, another mid-band trade after a ratchet, another mid-band trade after a ratchet, another mid-band trade. This is your line in the sand long short right there. Anything lower than that, and they'll head it down again. They start playing with this, they'll take it up. And see, oil, I did call that right. See, I said it bounced at that line. See, now usually I don't short this here if I see that they're trying to head up like they were here, because I did call that if it came down and kissed this, you could box it in and take a long. I didn't, but I did call it. I drew the lines ahead of time. So that rolled over at a phantom so far. Be aware that the most important trade, in my opinion anyway, is first time after a trend change, because the direction they're trying to head at that time. So that's almost like a no-brainer type trade. When they start doing this stuff right here, see where they're stair-stepping up like this big time, was that actually a short when I drew this line right here? No. See how you have a high, low, much higher high? They're going to check those swings, and that's exactly what they did, and they bounced. So don't pay as much attention to backgrounds and things like that as you do to swings, because this was not a downtrend yet. Notice that they didn't even do this like a high, low, lower high, and lower low. They never did it. They just came straight down, checked the pivot, and then they bounced. That's hard to take that one sometimes, but if you just look at swings, you can do it, but you just box them in. Now they've got your cattywampus on the colors and everything, but this is still a mid-band trade if you want to take it off mid-band. And it was a 62% retrace too, Mike. Yeah, so that's one thing sometimes that I can't catch as quick as, if somebody's trading like their own chart, because I got these four to look at and everything, but I'll sure diagnose them in real time, and we'll get some good trades. That's one thing about this room. There's no after the fact. I'll diagnose it in literally real time. Can we catch it in time sometimes? Well, if you're diagnosing it, you should already be in the trade, because I called that even at that mid band as it was happening if you wanted that oil. Now, when they start playing around more like they are right now on ES, you already know your line in the sand long short, 63 1/4, 63.50. So anything under that, you're shorting. See, there's a mid-band trade setting up on gold. You could box that. Now look at gold overall, though. Let's look at it real quick. Not really in a downtrend, is it? Just a deep retracement. Looks like about a 61% retracement. So this could either roll, which I called it if you wanted it. They could check that again. They could take it out. But that was a legitimate mid-band trade. First time after a trend change. See it, stair-stepping mid-band? That's that go-to trade that you want to try to get. And see if it'll take out the swing. If it will, hey, they could head down and check these lows. Predictor says they're going right down there, 47.40. Trust the scripts, but most of all, trust the swings. And the first time in after trend change, those no-brainer trades. Jack and Gloria, is there a certain person I work with at tradingcomputers.com? His name's Phil. I don't know his last name, truthfully. I probably have it written down somewhere, but Phil's been with Trading Computers for quite a while, and he's the only one that doesn't actually work at their office. He works out of his home in a different state, from what I understand, or maybe the same state. But usually when you call sales, you get him. Yeah, David G is saying Trading Computers, wonderful service and works great and dependable. I agree. See how I called that trade exactly on gold? See how it bounced exactly where I said it would? You just gotta, could you already be out of that trade with a good $400 bill? Heck yeah. Well, Falcon is, Daniel, on your question, Falcon is Trading Computers. I've got 3 Falcons. I love them. Good high-speed computers. I think the two, in my personal opinion anyway, especially if you want multiple monitors and all, is Eddie Z and the Trading Computers, which is your Falcons. You can keep boxing in and scalping ES if you want to. You can even hold from where you got in that Phantom, just hold your runner. Mike S., on your question, have I used a laptop to trade when I'm away? Yes. Yeah, I'm not away very often though. When my son lived in Washington State, I was away a little bit here and there, but since he's in Oklahoma nowadays, I've got all my grandkids here. Well, except for one. One's in Texas. But I don't really travel that much. I'm your total definition of a homebody. You know, I look at it this way. My home's as beautiful as any hotel room I've ever been in, so why do I need to travel? I'm looking to the day that I can see streets of gold. I don't care about all this. You know, truthfully, I've never even been to the Statue of Liberty and don't care to. Oh, look at that gold trade. I called that out live, everyone. You got to take these trades. Called that one out just a minute ago on ES. Said box it in at mid-band. I'm going to make it my personal mission to teach everybody on the planet that wants to know how to trade this system, because to me, I personally feel we've got one of the best systems out there, simply because your odds are so greatly increased at getting a good trade. And you got to know how to draw those line in the sand long short and be ready to take that trade. But keep in mind that if that line in the sand long short is what's called a micro line in the sand long short, then you may just get up to like a phantom and roll over. See what I mean? So if you want to, do more the larger line in the sand long short, you always can. See how that beautiful trade just happened on ES again? Mid-band trade. See how you can trust these though? Look at this right here. When did this start breaking? You had a high, you had a low, you had a higher high. We had it clearly drawn on the chart. They just kept playing with this area, didn't they? See, they played with it, gave you a little phantom, but then they started breaking it and they broke right through there. But you didn't even have to take that if you didn't want to. You could have taken this trade I just called. See, now this is a true phantom right here on crude oil, but look what you got also. You got a high at 77. You got these lows at like 67 and just a tad higher. So this is pretty much a line in the sand long short. And for sure there at 16. But if you get a higher low here, like if you box this in, it's a phantom. But if that's not your favorite type of phantom to take, then don't take it because it's got the wrong color midband. And they may break it again. And if you look at the overall, it's still down. Everybody see that right where I called it if you wanted it? See? I mean, if you think about it, that's a quick 200 bucks. Do you have to hold on to this trade? You could just take 200 bucks if you wanted to. Because now people are waiting for it to retrace and roll over. But I did call it if it broke that line if you wanted it. And technically you could have taken it right through here even. See your high, your low, your higher high, just barely. That's not my favorite to take a short at. It's more like right through here even. And it's up to the individual where you want it. But I did call that one if you wanted it 20, what's 21? Got all the way down to 79. That's 20 ticks. Can always bank it. Now this is a mid-band trade, first time in after a trend change. It is getting long in the tooth, so to speak, because you're at 914. It's not my favorite time to trade, but you can box that. See how it kissed exactly? You just take that trade and don't let it go against you. The only time they should be able to get you is if they go high frequency and go quick against you. Now, careful if you start getting a higher low, higher high. Need a lower high right here on crude oil. You don't really want to check that 23. Oh, did you get the first trade on ES, Bob? Just got here? Yeah. Bob's an old veteran at this. He sees these trades and can grab them. But careful with crude. They're trying to get a high, pardon me, a low, a high, higher low, and higher high, but so far they're holding my line. Being turkeys about it, though. Now, where's your line in the sand, long, short, if they decide on what we call the micro trend? Right there. See the low, the high, the higher low? Haven't gotten a higher high yet. You're still looking for shorts. But this is still pretty good little uptrend on the right side of the chart. So we'll see what they do. But so far I called the mid band if you wanted it. Thanks, Mark. Mark says you are a great educator and have really taken the stress and worry out of trading. That's what I want to do. And I want to do it, even on a large scale as far as that goes, because I want to change the dynamic on futures trading. Because if you've ever looked into it, most futures traders don't make it. There's just a handful of percentage that do, but not with Viper. I mean, look at these trade calls. I mean, that little trade call right there would make a person another $200. So there's, even if a person killed the trade already, you just made 400 on between gold and oil on great trade calls. Now, can you ride a run or two? You betcha. But don't you hate it though when you get $200 and then they come all the way back? See, like here's an example right here. Perfect example. You got in on the trade. Okay. You literally fired it at my line because I called it. Let's say you right clicked it and you put it at 20 or even at the bottom of the bar, whichever. But you got a quick scalp. See there? But then your 200 turned right back into zero if you held it. See what I mean? So what you can do is take 100 and then hold the one with my line and then see if you can get the gusto. But also keep in mind you had $200 here, and now with just one left on it, you had 100 here, and now you probably got 3 total. See what I mean? It's a beautiful trade. I called it out live. First time in the mid-band after a trend change. Second time after a ratchet. See it on gold? It ratcheted, so that's definitely a good trade. Tight stop would be just above that 92, looser stop would be 98. Oh, that has been beautiful, hasn't it, Radon? Radon said all done, hit his gold and everything, but those are beautiful shorts on that ES. And see, the one thing that I'm doing too is you can clearly see that I call on all three charts. Don't call on YM. You know, we watch it mostly. Notice how we got an ES long because we were watching YM at the open. We got that nice long. That's your micro line in the sand long short right there. Needs to roll over. If they go deeper, they're going to go up to that second line. See how ES rolled? Right where I said it would. Now be careful with it just in case. But you've already got your stop in, right? Yeah, John, on your question, you know, it is a semi-auto. John's saying this auto trader really works. Well, you got to be careful, obviously, because, you know, your mid-band type trade setups, you want to still watch them manually. See, like that ES right there, for instance, see how it rolled and it's testing and testing. That always makes me a little bit more nervous when they do that, because they can take, you know, $200 from you in a heartbeat. But if you simply watch the other charts, you can get that $200 back. Or, you know, you don't even have to give up 200. This trade was called right here at this line. Let's see if it works. See, so far, all it did is test that swing. Now it's trying to check this one. Just did, and that'll be its next shot. Made 4,000 on your sim. John just joined, by the way. Thanks for being a part of Viper too, John. Well, the one thing that's beautiful about our trading is that we've got the scripts to do it with, and you've got a moderator to get you on the right side of the trade. Because I think everybody can clearly see, I don't remember losing but on that one, wasn't it? And it was very minor. So we had a good day. Now see how you're getting a low, a high, a higher low on ES? They just can't take that out. I've got the line drawn, but you already got a scalp if you took it. They're trying to take people out before they run it. Can always box it in again. Yeah, that gold trade's awesome, isn't it? Called it right there at that line. Ratcheted down. See, if you look to the left, trade to the right, look at YM. See where that's your line in the sand long short? John, on your question, what I normally do on something like that is I want you to really watch some webinars to get acquainted with it all first. When I taught my son to trade, to give an example, years ago, it was pretty much just, you know, not so much one-on-one as, you know, just hammering the book, so to speak, just watching those webinars, getting a feel, see how you got almost a phantom on ES. They're wanting to run it, but see, so far you did get a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So they could easily take this up too. But this is a true phantom. It didn't quite touch line 6, though. But if you look to the left to trade the right, your line of sand long short on your larger move is way up here. But when they break these micros, they'll usually go up and check those. But we'll see. You could already be short on this because the way we teach this, you box it right across here, like so. That box never fired right there, but this box did. And stay with the overall trend until they actually change, and you'll do pretty well. There's another mid-band trade on gold. Ratcheted down too. Yeah, drawing the lines will come more like an epiphany, you know, where you'll just see on the charts like, oh, wow, I see what he's saying. The main thing is just to try to forget a lot of stuff that you've been taught in the past, because some of the better traders that I've ever had uh, knew nothing about trading. They didn't grow up in the days of stochastics and, you know, the Bollinger Bands and all that stuff. They learned price, because price is what it's all about. And we don't have to keep trading. I mean, I got my goal. You know, it's nice to come back on the first day of the week and double your goal, isn't it? I traded earlier before the room opened and got 2,050 on one of my Apex accounts. And see that little trade I just called on ES, boxing it in. See, it's heading down again. Yeah, if you trust the micro trend, it'll get you in a trade quicker, but it's also you're more dangerous, because your true line in the sand long short on ESI is up there at 38.50. But you did have one that they just broke a few minutes ago. But you got to always wait to see if they break it and then they come back and kiss and then take off again. But see, they didn't. They broke it and then they broke down instead. Oh, I agree with you, Bob. Yeah, that's a decent YM right there on first time in the mid-band. And look at that oil drop, and look at gold. Mercy be. I mean, we were talking about it when it was really happening in real time. That trade gave up the ghost literally when it started getting this, breaking this little swing right here, and for sure here. And if you're holding a little bit more of an ABC type move, it for sure took it out even on this swing. So when they start taking that out, they're heading down. That's 1, 2, 3, and even a breakout. You could be up thousands of dollars on these trades right here. Called them out. Called this one out too on ESI. You could be nicely green on that one too. It's short. Line of sand long short on YM is pretty much right there. Right there at that line. Put stop on ES. Just, you could do it with the swing if you want to. You know, if you want to really ride this for the gusto, just draw your swings. See, and you'll see the low, the high, the lower low. It needs to hold that hump. Still bouncing on old YM. They're liable to take this up. See how YM's heading up? That's a higher low on ES again. They stopped you. Careful, some kind of news is coming in. They went right back out of the box, so you're short again. But if you didn't catch that, don't feel bad. Neither did I. Classic stair-stepping mid-band on oil into mid-band after a trend change. That was a jerk move, wasn't it, Adam? I've got my box drawn. They just had to take out that micro swing, didn't they? But if a person drew their box and had it turned back on, you'd be back in. But yeah, that's the kind of moves right there that can not take your money so much because they just stopped you out, all from the trade that I called short. See how YM broke the line of sand long short. Now let's see if it rolls over. It's not rolling over yet. More of a phantom. You could box it if you trade YM at all. Yeah, that's one thing too that you want to get in the habit of understanding too. There's a lot of traders out there that actually trade a certain direction at the 30-minute marks too. I've been to webinars before where they've talked about that. To me, it was a crummy way to trade, but if there's enough people that do it, or algorithms, they can sure move these in a heartbeat though. Yeah, 30 and 60-minute candles, right, Scott? Yeah, I went to a webinar with Ninjacators one time, and they were teaching that particular trade. I mean, it seemed to work, but your stops were pretty heavy. The rule of thumb I go by, and I think it's a pretty good one, is just trade until about the first 45 minutes is the most important in my opinion, and even the first hour and 15 minutes. So in other words, we open at 10 till 8, and I like to trade till really no later than 9:15 as a rule. I'm already green, and I called them. I'm happy. Where you lose money is if they slap you on the wrong, and you're on the wrong side of the trade. Mid-band trade on crude oil. I mean, you got to keep in mind too, we made over 100 ticks on that oil trade that I called out live. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. If you had 2 contracts held, that was phenomenal. If you had just the 1 contract held, that was phenomenal. Mindy, one way that I personally think you can always miss that is, let's say for instance that you missed this trade right here that I called because we opened the room. I don't know why I keep saying we, um, but opened the room right here, and got that nice, beautiful gold trade and everything. But the one thing that you can always do though is if you miss a trade like that, then don't even go with that particular trend unless you get a real nice pullback. But let's say, for instance, that you get this trade here, which was written, drawn on the chart ahead of time and everything. But let's say you even miss that. The beauty of trading our system is you can miss this thrust right here because they're always going to pull back, and see they pulled right back to a mid-band, and I called that out. So, this is a lot safer trade right here than here, because this could have easily been just breaking support and then bouncing it right back in your face, because that at the time was in an uptrend. But see how you have a high, a low, and a higher high? This is your line in the sand long short right there. But see how they barely took it out the first time? But when you box after that, you can go ahead and get that trade, because I do this all the time here. If they don't really take a phantom up, I will box that and take that trade. But that's your safer trade. And if they ratchet down, that's another safe trade. They ratchet down again, another safe trade. They ratchet down again. You got to start watching it after a while, but that's still ratcheted down. And those are beautiful pullbacks. Where's your line in the sand long short on this chart? Anybody? Low, high, lower, low, lower, high, lower, low. That's an ABC right there. So this is your micro line in the sand long short. But would you take a long there? No, you probably want to at least wait till it holds that area of support. If it was to break it, come to a phantom, check that swing and roll over, then would it hold the mid-band and then take off? That could be a long, but until it does that, it's not. But if you look at your safer swing, your lightning 3. Why can't I draw my lightning 3? There we go. So your lightning 3 swing is all the way up here. That's your line in the sand long short on lightning 3. Now, if it does another one like lower, that'll be your new one. That was a monster goal, wasn't it? Called it out. Line of sand long short on crudes right across there. Gold can't go down fast enough, can it, Chuck? It's unreal. There's another trade on crude oil. Just be careful when they start stair-stepping up. You got to watch them a little bit. See, like even ES, just to give an example, let's say that somebody did not get that trade that was called way back here, okay, or even here where I said boxing in at mid-band, or even here where I said boxing in at phantom, okay. You can always wait for the trend change. You got a low here, a little lower low. This is line in the sand long short on lightning 3 right here. So if they start breaking this and hold it as support, they'll take it up, but they'll change the mid-band. See how they're taking it out so far? You're getting a low, a high, a higher low, and higher high. So they're probably going to change trends. But we'll see. This is a phantom so far. But just be patient on it. See what it does. See if it pops up and pulls back. Or if it's going to roll at a phantom, you can box it here too. Now, I don't like this phantom as much because it didn't hold the line in the sand long short. But that is a true phantom right here. You can always box it right there too. If it breaks up, it's more than likely going to test here at least. If it rolls over, it's probably going to test these swings. See how it's rolling over so far? But if they start faking it, all you got to do is get out. There's another mid-band trade on gold, even mercy. See, I just called that trade on oil. It's perfect. The key to it more than anything is once you learn to do this, your income's your choice. If you want to be, a multimillionaire on your trading, then all you got to do is trade this same way that we do, but take more contracts, obviously. If you just want to make a nice living and everything, 2 or 3 contracts will do it. See, because like that oil right then, 2 contracts, you're already up about $500. Close. I'll bet it gets 500. It looks like it's going to. You're long on SE out of my box. Now, keep in mind that's your target, so you don't have to hold that trade. If you do hold it, see YM heading up, just put your stop inside the box on SE. Where's your line in sand long short on gold now? You can see it right there. If you start getting higher lows, they'll take it back up too, but so far they're just rolling over. How many of you are gutsy enough to take that trade I just called on ES? I called where it was going. All you got to do is draw on your charts. Could you already take your coin on it? Yeah, but look at YM. So if you took it, it never went back in the box. Oh, you could be long even earlier than that. Absolutely. I could see this one. Let's see, had a 1, 2, 3. You could be long down in here somewhere, but I probably wouldn't have. It'd have to be at least above the mid band. So I think that's a legit place to trade it myself. See, it's pulling back a little bit. Told you to take coin. Now, if it pops, takes out that line, you'll head up a little nicer, but you put your stop right there just inside the box. See how even crude oil, obviously it took you out, right? Now this is a phantom, but is it truly? Because you double bottomed. This is your line in the sand long short right here at that swing right there. See if this phantom actually works or if it's going to be plowing to the upside. So far it's a phantom. But see, they don't just constantly give you great coin. Notice that you got a rollover on gold. You got another rollover on gold. Well, if you trade it correctly, that's $400. But if you just held it, you're right back at what you paid for it. See? So it's best to actually 200 bucks, 200 bucks. Now this is going to kind of tell you what oil's going to do right about right there. Need to see if they're going to pop this. Now they did change backgrounds, so they haven't changed the trend yet though. You could be looking for longs, but this could also break down because it is a true phantom. It just happened to go a little deeper than a phantom, but it did not take out line 8. Mike S., on your question, like this box right here, for instance, like this right here, I won't wait for the candle to close. I put a right click trade in right there above that swing and see if I can get to that swing right there to the left. And see, they did it beautifully. So you pretty much just you don't, you can wait for the bar to close, but what if that bar closed way up here? Then that's a very risky trade. But that, to get it here and get 10 ticks is good. And see, it's still heading up. It just went back in the box, but it didn't close inside the box. See the box? So you're still in it with a runner. And your next place to get profit is right up there. And I'd say even here, just a little higher, right there. You are short on your oil. Called the line in the sand long short if you wanted. Could have gotten a quick long. Did roll over on a phantom. You could even box it here at this mid band, because if it does break, it'll go back up there and check that. See, that was 1, 2, 3 trades on gold. Do you want to keep playing this game? That's pretty much your line in the sand long short right there on gold. See, I called that trade on crude oil right there. That's all you got to do is box them. That's another $200. Well, close. It'll get 200 because you can tell it's going up to that line. Called long short line on gold right there. You could be long on gold. Just be careful with it because it's truly just a phantom. But when they break those long short lines like that, you can take it, and then if they roll, you can actually go ahead and short it. If it's going to be a phantom, you can box it in. But it looks to me like it's trying to head up to at least right here to test that swing it hadn't checked yet. Right there at 38.50. See, it just did it. That's why I like those. See, you could clearly tell that gold was through going down. Okay, you had a low here, a high. Okay, you started getting a higher low. That's step one. Are we changing trends? Got a higher low again right there, and then they broke. Now, careful with crude. It got a lower high just then. It's going to really head up. It needs to hold that mid band. Everybody get those little trades I called just then? See how you got another trade on crude oil right in my line? That's $200, and will it be another $200? We'll find out. But if they break that mid band, they're going to head down because you're getting a high, low, lower high. You don't really want a lower low, but be careful taking a breakout because they could easily break that just barely and then pop it too. So far, it's still getting a higher low. Look at that gold I called. I mean, see, that's getting it early. Gold, you go. What goes down must go back up, right? Everybody glad you took that ES. It hit our target exactly up there at that predictor. It's a phantom trade on YM, so hopefully it'll head up, and SE will too, because SE's kind of playing the ABC game right now. But if you're just holding a runner, you just don't let it go back inside the box. But keep in mind, if you draw on your charts, you can always take coin at those swings, because I drew that ahead of time on ES and it hit it. So why would you want to still be in that trade? See, now Essie's going to check this and see, are we really going to head up? See, they're checking that line, wicking it. Or are they going to break like YM's trying to do? So far, it's just bouncing off my line. You could box it in there, though, because that is a long, short line in the sand. Here's gold at mid-band. First time in after a trend change. Checking that swing right here to the left. See it right there? That's kind of a line in the sand, long, short on what's considered the micro trend. But when they're stair-stepping like this, you kind of want to go the direction they are, but you know, keep in mind that's been a big downtrend too, so you could just box this in. Big old downtrend. See if it's going to take it on down and check that swing right where it broke out. Could be nothing but a falling knife here on gold. We're going to find out here in a minute. But, you know, if you took my long, you got stopped out and you haven't gone back in yet because you're still boxing it. Or you could be short, but I still like the idea of a stair-stepping mid-band first time in myself. So I'd keep boxing it. So you boxed in SE and you still got it. See, your long short line in the sand has to be broken and kissed. Notice that you could have gone long right at my line. How much attention do I pay to the stealth lines? As I've noticed that in strong trends, stealth trends to hold and keep the trend. Well, the stealth is actually, you know, a moving average with an algorithm built into it so that we can see when it breaks. Uh, I don't watch it as much as probably should. I watch the price more than anything. See, like so far, ES is getting a high, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high. Are they going to break down? We're going to find out here. But so far, you got a nice little pop right up to my line. And if it bounces right there, it's going to take it up. See, because they took that out where my line's at on ES. So if this is going to head up, that support right there needs to hold. It doesn't look like it's going to, especially the way YM's acting. But so far it is. Let's see what it does. You pretty much say that swing to the left is your line in sand long short now, right here. See, now gold did bounce. I said you could box it. Keep in mind the way you box that is like your two candles. You know, here's your two candles at first, and there's your two candles again right there, and you're long out of the box. Just be careful with it just in case they decide to check that swing. And I would not, even if you're up nicely, I would not let them take out that box. It should be nicely green on that gold trade I called out live. Let's see what it does. See, we're in the time though, you just want to scalp. For instance, look at gold right here. Okay. Gold has a swing right here at this, right where my cursor's at. So could a person take coin as it tags that, or if it breaks it like it's trying to do, then try to go for the next swing. But see how it's hesitating right there at my swing? And then go for this next one if it can go ahead and break. But you got to keep getting higher lows and higher highs to continue taking this swing out. How many took that? That's another $200, by the way. And you could just take the 200 if you wanted to. You could also ride this for the gusto because it looks like to me next place it's going to go is right up there. 1842.20 area. If we don't get a high, low, lower high. This is your line in the sand long short right here on gold as we speak. So far it bounced right where I said it would. Just got to keep boxing it in. Your target, see, it's already hit that right there at that swing. So obviously if they break this swing right here, then your next swing's right up here, looking left to trade the right. Said Essie, didn't I? Well, I think we only had one trade that didn't work out today, didn't we? That one little bitty one. So couldn't we all be nicely green? And we got 3 minutes till 10 o'clock. It is Tuesday, January 3rd, 2023. Wow. So we do have a webinar tonight. Real quick heads up. I don't know if I like it myself even, but let me show you what we did over the weekend. If you go to your members area, you'll notice that you got these little boxes now. The reason we did this is because everybody was saying you got enough Viper logos. I agree. So we changed these to free webinars, members area, trading room, and webinar links. Also got it in black just in case somebody's got little problems with seeing the colors. And I kind of like it. But even when you go into the lessons, you'll notice that all these logos right here, the Viper Trading Systems, but these we're not going to do individual, obviously, like this. This is just more to get you to the area. Okay. So that's all that's changed right there. And we did also go with Facebook ads. I don't know if anybody's ever done that for your particular business, but they put out a lot of ads. We're literally only putting $5 a day into it, and it's already had like 500 or so, I think, to where people have at least been exposed to them, not necessarily that they clicked on them. Let me see if I can find this Facebook deal here real quick. If it'll load. Here we go. Just to give you an example. See, this is Facebook ads. See, it's only gotten 6 clicks so far, but they don't know us yet. Okay, so these will keep showing up. But see, that's literally only spending like 18 bucks to hit 624 people with Viper trading systems. So, you know, if they continually see, which my son even did a couple of videos that are only like 2 minutes long showing like a trade, to give an example, like where I just called these trades here, you know, and showing people a quick, like, you know, trend change, mid-band trade, boom, showing how, and we're doing Google ads too. Yeah, that's next, because they've got a good ad program too. But you know, we're getting a little bit more into the 21st century. You know, Charles and I, a little bit older gentleman as far as that goes, not real old. You know, Charles passed away when he was 61, so that's not real old. But we're not so much the Facebook, Instagram, you know, types, but we're becoming that. You know, Viper is, that is. So I want to show people that they can learn to trade with a good room, and even bring them in, you know, for trials and things like that, so they can actually check us out. So how many took that trade that I just called on ES? So that's what we're about here at Viper. I'm going to continually teach people to see these trades in real time. This is not after the fact, you know, charts that are playback or anything like that. It's in real time. Mike, you use Google Ads also, and it works well for you. Yeah, we've got Google Ads also, and that's being worked on as we speak with our go-to leads. We don't have them yet on go-to leads, which is the program that I opted for, but it's really kind of made my life a little bit easier because it's got pretty automated on, you know, where I can get the links out and stuff like that a lot easier than I used to. We'll be posting more on YouTube too. I haven't really posted lately on YouTube. I've got to get back to doing that, but I've been so busy just kind of running the company, so to speak. But I'll get into that. All right, everyone, have a great and blessed day. We do have a webinar tonight. It will be recorded, so if you don't happen to show up for it, you'll get to see it later. And if anybody needs any help or anything, just holler and I'll be around. All right, thanks everyone. Oh, thanks, Mike. Mike says your teaching is always very good, but today you were exceptional. Well, I want people to see this stuff in real time. And I did record this webinar too, so trading room this morning, but I'll have my son, you know, it won't be like gleaning it because you heard good trades to begin with, but shorten it because nobody wants to watch a 2-hour webinar. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you in the morning or tonight at the webinar. Bye everyone, thanks.